I want to try a different concept today. We've got a campfire going, we've got some mics hooked up, and we're just going to sit down, the two of us, and do a bit of reflection and a bit of questions and thoughts and share some opinions. We are pretty much 6 months into this project. Is that true?
7.
7.
I was just counting.
Okay, so a little over half a year. So I thought it'd be a nice moment to sit down, do some reflection on camera, think about a few things, share a few things, and we'll just see how we go. Go with the flow. And also keep an eye on the camera, on the fire, of course. Is there any thoughts that you have?
On the camera. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Like, it's been 7 months.
It's been a while. And if you think about it, it's been even longer before that, because the whole process of purchasing the land was another 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
So I think we've been on...
Well, because you went over to look at it in January.
Yep, for the first time.
2025.
Yep.
So
it's been more than a year already.
Yeah.
More than a year in the making. And what a roller coaster it's been. So one of the things that I was thinking, a major win has been the container. Because when we first started out here, we had to bring everything in our little Betty, in our little car. And we were always lugging the tent and all the equipment and all the stuff.
And like forgetting things.
Forgetting
all
heaps
the
of
time.
things.
Like there was always something that we would forget.
Yep.
Even though, you know, we made lists and stuff, but oh my goodness, it was always something. And like the car would be like so full of stuff.
Yep.
Like up to the roof. It was like fine, but this is so much easier.
Yep. So that's a major win. That was definitely a game changer, I feel. And
yeah, and even to have a structure and gives you some shade and protection if it rains and
storage and
it's just so much like easier to work from.
Yeah, so true.
And I think it also gives us like perspective on eventually hopefully being able to live here, and because when there's nothing here it's so hard to imagine, whereas now
you can fantasize
structure and you feel like, oh okay, how could it be, what would it look like and what would it be like. It's just a bit easier to imagine, I guess.
Yeah. The more I think about it now, the more I'm like, wow, what a roller coaster of a ride it's been. And it still is.
And it's still going to be.
And it still will be. And I say that with immense amounts of gratitude and joy and all the beautiful things. So grateful that we get to do this adventure. But yeah, there's been definitely already been quite a few highs, quite a few lows, and everything in between.
Do you want to talk about highs?
Some of the highs? Well, the purchase that went through finally after 6-7 months of negotiating was really cool and very surreal, because it had been such a long process.
I feel like I had kind of already sort of given up on it.
At some stage.
I don't know. Yeah. Like the in-between stage.
And I think going back even further for some of the people that have joined our journey more recently, this has been an idea and a dream in the making for even before we moved to New Zealand. It's been 6-7 years, not necessarily this specific outcome where we are now,
no.
But the general idea of finding a bit of land somewhere and exploring what it means to be a steward.
Maybe even longer, because I feel like when we travelled and stuff, it was like 2015, 2016.
Yep. And so, and I think one of the tricky things at the moment, so the high is definitely achieving that purchase and a major step in our dreams and following those dreams. And then the tricky thing that follows straight after that is, how do you balance enjoying and embracing what is already, and just being grateful for everything that has happened in the journey so far, and not get caught up in, oh, this needs to happen, we need to keep working on this and need to keep moving forward at all costs, because that has tended to happen a little bit, where you kind of gloss over everything that we have achieved already and continuously think about, okay, this is where we need to be, this is where we need to go.
Next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel having the container and also just time in general gives you a bit more perspective on how things go. And the land, I've also learned that the land has her own will. And we are just a part of it and not the central part of it. So that also has been a learning curve, and it's something that we wanted to do, I guess. Wanted to experience.
I think in a way it's also good that it's so big and it's so steep, because it's very clear that we can't control it in any sense of the word. So it's just going to be a lot of observing.
And where can we do key moments of intervention and steering to generate an outcome or help an outcome that would be beneficial for us, but also the land and all the beings that want to live on this land. But that's definitely been a learning curve. Still is a learning curve. That's why these moments, on and off camera, are very worthwhile and very important to keep reflecting, sitting down, keep having moments of gratitude and reflection, and be like, oh, wow, we've come so far already. Which we definitely have.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I often forget to think about that. Even though, you know, we sit here and we look at the view and we think, oh, it's so beautiful, and like you're enjoying being here, but still, to me, sometimes it feels so daunting as to what still needs to happen. But I think there's also a lot that we've already done or seen, or I think a major win was also last week when we finished the Biodiversity Plot.
Yep.
Because that was just a big task. That also, like, it was the first time, so it was hard to know how long it would take to do all of it. And I do think we kind of wanted to finish it with the weather still being good, because I mean, and look, like, winter can be good, but it's
easier
you
in summer.
You don't want to do it in pouring rain, because that just would also make it quite miserable to do, I think.
Well, and the closer you can get to the point of clear felling, which happened
it's also more interesting
in June 24.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get as close to the clear fell moment as possible. That was realistically possible given the situation. I think we got relatively close. The last one was about a year and a half after. So, and also it is what it is.
Oh yeah, true. I mean, it's
also just
a starting point. That I do feel quite kind of good about that being finished for now. And also, like, looking at the outcomes and measurements and thinking about how we're going to do it next year.
And improving and learning as you go. That's
Have
also.
you already done a video on that one?
Yeah.
Are you going to do another one?
Yeah. And depending on when this one gets released. So we're recording it 7 months, but who knows when it's going to be online. We'll see.
Yeah.
One other major win that I'm just thinking of, and I get this because I keep looking at the land, we did it this way, so the view's behind us, so anyone watching gets to enjoy the view with us, but we also get to see the land, and there's just such an immense amount of regeneration of the New Zealand native plants, which has been overwhelmingly surprising compared to what I thought would happen. There's plenty of broom, plenty of gorse, plenty of other plants as well, but there's so much regeneration. Plenty of pines. But there's just so much regeneration happening. And we came to the project thinking we were going to be planting for the first few years.
Because it's funny because you think it's not going to... I didn't even think that might happen.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't have the same background as you, so I don't know as much about it, but whoa. Did you hear that?
That's the goats in the background.
It's like a... Wow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think, like, looking at the ponga and stuff, it's just, and even last week in the last plot, you know, you see the tiny, tiny little kahikatea coming up, and it's just so cool to see that just happening. And I think because we've got those little pockets of natives still there, stuff is going to spread much quicker. And because even like on the sides where we don't have many natives, you see them coming up, so it helps spread
For sure.
the natives so much quicker, I think, than we think. It would be nice to go up top again and see what's happening up top, because I feel we haven't been there for a while, and I'd like to see what's going on there. But yeah, and also I think like driving in today, I feel like when we bought it, it was so like orange, like kind of what you see around here still. Like it was so orange, and now you drive in and it's just green.
Yeah, the amount of
Like
growth.
the whole
It's insane.
triangle, like the whole side is now just like sort of bright
There's
green,
very little bare land left,
which is so
different
good.
different to when we came here.
Even
first
though
time.
it's most of it's going to be gorse and broom, but
They're all part of the transition, so we're not too
like
worried.
it's better to have plants than bare ground. So I think
must-
that's going to be good for winter as well, when it's going to become more wet and
Yeah. The scale is I wouldn't say it's a high or a low, but it's
it is there.
something. Just the amount of time it even takes to get to the top or to one of the biodiversity plots is just... And it's only going to get more difficult once the faces get completely covered. So
Yeah.
some of it's been relatively accessible still. We've got the forestry tracks still, and we're trying to maintain those. But I think some other areas are going to be a bit more difficult to get to once
And I
the
think
young
for
growth
me,
takes
sorry.
over. Okay.
You want to say anything?
No, it's just,
It's fine. Okay.
it is the way it is.
And that's something I'd like to start working on, like see if we can maintain paths towards the biodiversity plots, at least, as well as, you know, forestry tracks, but just so next year we can actually get in there, because I'm quite afraid that it'll be quite difficult if we just leave it. So, you know, like that way, just making sure the path basically all the way down.
Just maintenance, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
I
the
would
area.
like to do that a little bit, and also the one up, see if we can do something with ropes or even steps, or I don't know how yet, but I feel that would be a really good thing to try to do, because yeah, make it a little bit more accessible next year, because otherwise it's going to be such a difficult thing if it's, you know, if everything keeps growing this way.
Which most
Which
likely
it
will.
do, yeah. Yeah.
It's actually tawa wood. So some of the tawa that got damaged and killed during the harvest. Some
Oh,
of
is
it's-
this from up here?
Yeah, from one of the big trees that was smashed over. So, and I can tell you, tawa smells really nice once it's burning. So, you know,
It's like warm, not just the fire, but the smell.
yeah. As a little side note for whoever cares. What was the other thing I was thinking that I wanted to share? Going forward into autumn and winter time is something that's keeping me busy, because we had quite a bit of rain. So we definitely haven't been on the land as much as we'd hoped during the summertime. And it's not a complaint, because parts of the land, parts of the country, parts have been hit way worse. So we're not complaining about the amount of rain, because there's been, you know, some really devastating things happened during the summer, floods and those things. So
Yeah, we haven't had any damage in that sense,
Yeah.
and you know, it's probably been good, because everything has been growing really
Yeah.
well.
and no slips. So
No,
not complaining about that whatsoever. But we just haven't been as much as we'd liked in the summer. Now going into autumn and winter time, it's going to be a question of how much time can we realistically spend
Yeah.
here with it being cold and darker, because we don't have water. Everything we need to bring in, except for the tools and stuff which are in the container, but water and light and all those kinds of things. So I think it's going to be another part of the adventure.
It's going to be a process.
I have no idea.
No, we have to see how it goes. It's like it's the first winter here, because last year when we bought it, it was end of winter, and I mean, we just spent some days here, but we didn't really.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like the setup is a bit better. Like we could actually probably spend quite a bit of time in autumn if the weather's not like, I feel if it's cold, it's not as bad. Like if it's really wet, it's just going to be, it's going to be nice to be here for a long time. And also, I think we do need to take into account that over winter time it will probably flood badly,
rivers,
so we won't be able to get in.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also interesting, right? I mean, it would be good to drive up here and see what it's like and how bad it is. And I mean, it's the first year, so it's just going to be interesting.
Interesting is the word.
Well, it is.
One big adventure.
Because we don't know.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I was thinking maybe we could talk a bit about upcoming projects or things that you would like to still do, even though we don't know how much time we're going to be spending here in the next few months. Like, are there any big things or projects or things that you are
working on
you want to work on?
Yep. I think the major projects, one of them is the rewilding pines that we're still looking into. I think it is going to be worthwhile spending time and energy over the next half a year before they get too big, try and pull some more. Looking into maybe getting some groups or some volunteers, or because it needs to happen at a scale that just the two of us can't realise, I think.
Because if you think about it, that would mean you'd have to do like 10 hectares each, which is ridiculous, right?
And there's also an interesting observation where there's a big difference between some areas.
Yeah,
and that goes for the whole land in general. There's quite a few profound differences between what grows where. So there'll be areas dominated by broom. There'll be areas dominated by regenerating natives. There'll be areas dominated by gorse. There'll be areas, especially along the top ridge, dominated by rewilding pines. There's around the seed island. There's much more natives. So there's quite a big difference between what grows where. So not every area has a high intensity of rewilding pines. So not every area is going to need as much care and attention to kind of work with them. So that's one major thing. The other thing is hopefully look into learning to hunt some of the goats. Find someone who might be able to guide us in that direction, and with a very sensible approach, not trying to eradicate them from the landscape, at least not at the moment, but learn to observe behaviour, see what they do, see what they damage, and can we steer them away from certain areas?
Like the ringa.
Yes. And can we, I don't know. So there's a lot of questions and a lot of curiosity at the moment as to what we do with them in the short term and also the long term. At the moment, I'm not believing eradication is the key forward, because we'll just create a vacuum for the next mob to move in.
Yeah. So, it would also be impossible because we can't ever fence it off or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's way too big. I mean, don't say never, but you know.
Yeah, not in the foreseeable future.
I don't think, that's not going to be, that would be massive, so. And I mean, we're surrounded by forestry and, like land, so.
So those two, and then the final thing I think, and that's part of the dream of living here eventually, hopefully, is we're going to look into getting a second container on the land, and do some building projects where we're going to work on a composting toilet, because that's where do you go when you need to poo and you have no loo. So that's something definitely on the priority list, but also just build a bit of shelter, organise this area a little bit more. So that's also, I think, great winter project working time.
Yeah, and I think in winter time it will also be good to, like, if we can't go, like, figure out how we're going to do it, and like with the building and stuff.
Yeah, it takes a
what
lot
we
of
need to do.
planning and
Yeah, all of those things.
and we don't really necessarily have building experience, so we also need to learn on the job and learn a lot, which is part of the adventure again. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that we're looking forward to at the moment. Trying to document as much as we can as we go along, trying to share as much as we can as we go along for whoever's interested.
It might also be nice if people have like certain things that they'd be interested in or things that they would like to see.
Yes, share some
Just to
suggestions.
let us know, because we can obviously, because there's so much, and we, like you said, we try to document lots of it. But
one project that we're going to work on is a tour of the land, so like a proper big video that'll take people along and go, oh, this is happening over on this site, this is happening along the top ridge, this is happening over, because we've, at this moment, I feel we've got a relatively good feel and idea for what's going on and what's where it's certain areas.
Yeah, I think maybe when you watch the videos, it's quite hard to see where we are.
Yeah, and complement it. So I've got a few ideas spinning around, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that. I'm definitely working on that in the background, so that'll be available at some stage. So I think maybe to round off for now, because this is the first version, very improvised fire, very improvised setting. I think to round off, the first and foremost feeling that I have at most times, even when we're not on the land, is a feeling of gratitude. I feel so lucky and so privileged that we've been able to chase this dream for so long and that came to fruition, and that we get to be in this beautiful spot and just learn so much already in the past 6-7 months. And there's so much learning that's going to happen, and there's also been so many people that have reached out and helped us already, and you know, we're really, this is a long-term project that hopefully we can set something in motion that's going to go way beyond our lifetimes and provide benefit to not only ourselves and the community, but also to all the beings that want to have a home. And so it is a long-term project, but overall the biggest feeling is gratitude and just pure joy.
Being able to be here.
And just being here. Second feeling is a lot of stress and stress about what needs to be done and making sure that we upload enough videos and content.
It's funny because I guess it's because you are so aware that you've got like a lifetime, like, so it's a limited time, even though that might still be very long, right? But I feel as humans, you're so aware of that time being limited, whereas the land is just gonna.
We only get a couple of decades.
And you're so keen to do as much as you can to help.
And I guess the other, and to counteract that, another feeling that I've been learning to accept more and more is that we're not central to this whole thing.
No, that's what I mean. Like, the land is just going to continue onwards.
And it's one thing to grasp it with your Western mind or with your rational mind and be like, yeah, I can understand, I'm not central, but to really live that and feel that and act that way is probably going to be a lifetime.
It's cool though, because today we were somewhere and they had like planted 20 years ago, and you can now, like, it's a massive difference, right? The plants are big,
walking
trees,
the trees,
and it's just like 20, you can do a lot in 20 years. So
if we get that time, then it'd be amazing.
It'd be such a big difference. So stick around for another 20 years.
So I think that for me, that's the majority, the main gratitude, joy, also stress, but those are definitely the main feelings at the moment. So that's a nice way as the fire dies out. Would you want to share your final thoughts?
Oh yeah, I'm with you. Same, yeah. It's also exciting. Like, I'm also very excited.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I really flip between stress and excitement. Like having fun with it. And I think that's important for us to stick to try to have fun with it instead of like being super perfectionist about it and getting everything right the first time. We just need to do it and try and see and
fail many times.
And fail, and we'll get help, and it's just as long as we try to have fun as well instead of taking it too seriously.
Yep.
Because, yeah.
Cool. And then the final thing, if you've been watching all the way to the end, thank you. We appreciate having you along. This is going to be an opportunity, an invitation for you. You can use the code word secret sauce and drop that in the comments, and then if you use that, you can ask us a question, and then in the next session we'll try and answer all those questions. But you got to use the secret word, otherwise we're not going to answer your question. Cool. Thanks team, thanks for watching. We will catch you in a next video.
Ka kite.